Hello everyone, it's so good to be here yet again. I just got back from the cinema after seeing Saturday Night, a film that I was very much looking forward to. I had a strong feeling that I would enjoy this one, but oh boy was this a whammy. So this is the true story dramatization of the night of October 11th in 1975, which was the legendary first broadcast of the live event of Saturday Night. And I didn't know this going into the film, but the official release date of this film in cinemas was October 11th, 2024, which marks the 49th anniversary of that event. So indeed it is a very timely moment for this film to come out in cinemas. And rather than seeing the polished final product that we all see on the TVs, here we get a very behind the scenes look of what it took to actually make that event come to fruition. And my god, this was such a whirlwind experience. I don't work in the films industry, I'm a game developer myself, but I could somewhat relate to the chaos and madness of the production of it all. Though obviously not to that extent, because this is quite an extreme situation and definitely one for the history books, and I'm glad that it is recreated in film, because literally everything that could have gone wrong on that set has gone wrong and then some. Even one of the posters of the film has some pretty hilarious messaging, such as the writers are inebriated, the set is on fire, the sound system is wrecked, the actors are physically assaulting each other, the crew is in open revolt and they have 90 minutes to figure it all out, or the network is pulling the plug. So there's a lot going on here in this relatively short film. It feels a lot longer than it actually is. And going to this film, I actually didn't realize just how much of a rated R film going experience this would be. So much profanity for one thing, but this truly is a 70s sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of experience. Oh lord. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's crazy, yes, but super entertaining too. And this is also one of the funniest movies I've seen all year. Some truly great screenwriting here, and the wordplay is just top tier. And a moment ago I mentioned just how much is crammed into this one film, and that's because the film is going at this non-stop breakneck pacing. And it feels like every moment there's just more and more weight thrown onto the shoulders of the director who's trying to keep this whole production together. There truly is this sort of Damocles feeling where we literally see the clock ticking at times, and I love how that clicking talk as well is kind of integrated into the soundtrack and the pacing and rhythm of the film. Honestly, I'm super impressed by the production of the film. It is such a dense and layered set that you could just get visually lost in, and there's so many costumes as well that just add even more variety to an already oversaturated visual experience. And on top of that, there's just so many crazy things happening, sometimes several layers of crazy events happening within one scene. Otherwise, it's just this non-ending pearl chain sequence of crazy events one after another. It is almost a dizzying experience. All of that paired with a very energetic soundtrack composed by John Baptiste, who also has a very memorable moment in the film itself, so that was super appreciated. Anyways, all these elements combined together makes me feel like I'm living this chaotic jungle-like experience. And also, before I forget, everything about the aesthetic qualities of this film screams the 70s. And as if all that weren't enough, there are some shots in the film, these long take shots, that made me feel almost like I was in a Goodfellas film, where we have these long sequences where we're just running through hallways, several rooms, we're just meeting several people, just things happening. Yeah, the pacing of this film is kind of crazy, and maybe it's a little too much at times, but personally, I loved it. And on top of all of that, the cast is this endless buffet of hungry actors that are just ready to kill on screen. In this film, we get a bunch of newcomers that are just slaying each of their roles, but there are also a few really big surprise that I'm not going to spoil of some really big name actors that I did not see coming. I didn't watch the trailer, so maybe that info is already kind of spoiled, but in case you haven't watched it, I think you're in for a real treat. And one of the many joys of watching this film is just catching all the references and the pop culture icons that are showcased in this film. This era of TV is a little before my time, so I didn't quite catch all the references, but I'm well cultured enough to just be able to connect all the dots. I think some older folks are going to get a real kick out of this. But as amazing as all the actors are, I really do want to shout out two actors in particular. Of course, we have to talk about the lead, Gabriel Labelle, who isn't so much of a newcomer anymore, because last time I saw him was in The Fabelmans, where he was leading, and he totally knocked it out the park there. And here he just weighs the mantle of responsibility of this new project so comfortably, even with all the chaos and complexity. And secondly, I want to shout out Cooper Hoffman. It's the second film I've seen him. Previously, I saw him Licorice Pizza, and clearly has a knack for that 70s style of filmmaking. I think he's just a natural in that setting. Though I do wish I got to see more of him in this film. It's hard to complain too much because there's so many actors in this film that it's hard to give them all screen time, which is almost something that's mirrored in the story of the film itself. But the moments he does have, he just absolutely destroys. And it also kind of makes me a little nostalgic for his father, because I still can't believe that he's no longer with us. What a talented actor, and his son clearly seems to be following his shoes. Seriously, all these actors show so much promise, it's really exciting to see. But one thing I will say, specifically for Gabriel Labelle and Cooper Hoffman, since I'm talking about them, they're playing adults in this film, but they look like children. Maybe this is just a factor of me getting older and anyone who's younger than me just looks like a child. Maybe this really is a thing. I can relate now. Anyways, as you can tell, I'm head over heels in love with this film. It does burn out a little bit towards the latter part of the film, and I almost see this as a necessary break to just let us to catch our breath, because otherwise it is a non-stop tornado of live wire performances. And this is also a reminder for me of the power of determination and perseverance, which can yield some pretty incredible results. I mean, granted, this TV show is totally not my cup of tea, but it clearly left a lasting legacy. So yeah, art through adversity indeed. I'd say this is a solid 9 out of 10. I'm shocked that the general critical consensus isn't higher, but you know what? I don't care. I had a blast with this film, and I think this is handily Jason Reitman's best film in well over 10 plus years. So with all that being said, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.